The Cedarcrest Center for Children with Disability story is one of initiative, ingenuity, perseverance, and community. It begins in 1947. It is summertime in Westmoreland, New Hampshire, so the steep dirt road is dusty but passable. Spring and winter are two entirely different matters. Atop the hill sits a quiet, ordinary, aged, 6-room farmhouse. Inside, two extraordinary women are making a crucial decision. One, a trained nurse, and the other an occupational therapist. They were approached by a local family in need of assistance educating their daughter. Dorothy Dot Sawyer and Eleanor Clemmy Clement were these two women, and their old farmhouse, originally called Flying Pig Farm, became what we know today as Cedarcrest Center. As word spread throughout New Hampshire of this exceptional home on the hill, more families sought their expertise and unique support. Children came to Flying Pig Farm with many different physical and developmental challenges. For many years, Dot and Clemmy cared for them 24/7, and as the number of inquiries grew, so did the staff and the facilities. In 1950, Cedarcrest moved down the road to a bigger farmhouse, where it remained for 40 more years. Throughout the early years, resources were scarce. Families would help wherever they could, and community members contributed, donating money, food, clothing, toys, and other essentials to help Dot and Clemmy manage the needs of a diverse group of children. Cedarcrest was a working farm, and as they were able, the children helped care for sheep, cows, pigs, chickens, and ponies. Food grown on the farm was incorporated into the children's daily meals and ensured they received wholesome nutrition. With growth of the program, Cedarcrest's financial needs began to outstrip Dot and Clemmy's valiant fundraising efforts. Dr. Thomas Lacey was actively involved, overseeing the children's care, and he advised that incorporating could help their fundraising efforts. They agreed, and Cedarcrest was incorporated as a nonprofit organization on June 28, 1952. Through these early years, the children were fortunate to have Doctors Lacey, Snowman, and Laidlaw making routine visits up the hill and attending to their unique needs. As Cedarcrest's population grew, so did the need for more bedrooms, a classroom, therapy services, and operational support spaces. The first such expansion took place in 1959. Thanks to the generosity of individual and corporate donors, Cedarcrest was able to serve 20 children at the farm. 5 years later, still more space was needed. Again, the public response exceeded all expectations. Cedarcrest was able to add a dormitory, bedrooms, a kitchen, dining room, storage room, and an office, allowing 25 children to be cared for with space for related activities. Local civic groups pitched in by sewing curtains, clothing, bibs, and bedding. The span of ages of the children also increased, seeing the staff and volunteers caring for infants, toddlers, and school-aged children. Staff had a variety of responsibilities, including caretaking, housekeeping, food preparation, and supervising activities. Beyond the classroom, the children were active with music, arts and crafts, and free time to play on the playground or swim in the pool. Whole groups of children and staff would go on picnics, visit lakes, the ocean, and go camping. Some of the children would stay at Cedarcrest for long-term stays, and others for a few weeks in the summer months. As with traditional families, children learned tasks of day-to-day living, such as dressing and feeding themselves. The program incorporated vocational education, and children helped staff tend to the animals and assisted with maple sugaring and canning, laundry, and kitchen tasks, while gaining experience and self-confidence. The children residing at Cedarcrest had increasingly more complex health conditions. In 1960, Dr. Charles H. McMurphy made his first house call at Cedarcrest. These visits would continue regularly for the next 35 years. Some children had congenital malformations, other complex chromosomal abnormalities, which required specialized knowledge, therapies, and compounded medications. In 1969, Dr. McMurphy convinced Peg Knox, a young nurse at Elliott Community Hospital, to work at Cedarcrest, caring for the children part-time. Peg was the quintessential nurse, offering highly expert knowledge of each child's needs and a nurturing, common-sense approach. She was instrumental in advancing the value that each child should experience all that life had to offer, regardless of medical or developmental complexity. Peg became the full-time director of nursing, managing all of the children's care, medical appointments, and treatments. She remained in her role until retiring more than 43 years later. Another area nurse, Sharon Kaiser, also stepped in to provide care at this time. Co-founder Dot Sawyer passed away a short time later, and Clemmy Clement, wishing to retire, asked Sharon to try out the administrator's job on a trial basis. This trial basis was the foundation of Sharon's leadership as executive director for more than 26 years. Cedarcrest's first school opened in the early 1970s. All classes were multi-age and taught by staff in a general curriculum framework. The school was staffed by certified teachers and student teachers from nearby Keene State College. Physical, occupational, and speech therapists also began helping the children regularly during the school day. Guided by a very strong family approach to providing the care, long-tenured staff members helped in numerous ways. Staff had a way of pitching in to help with any need in the 24-hour, 7 days a week operation. This included Sharon's husband, Peter, who left his job in education to become the organization's financial manager, among other roles. Volunteers offered extra TLC, from rocking babies to playing music and leading enrichment activities. This included volunteers from snowmobile groups, from fraternities and sororities at Keene State College, and from many civic groups in the region. The 1970s also brought state Medicaid funding for the children's medical treatment, equipment, and therapies. Just down the road in Keene, the Cheshire Hospital's new facility was built, and with it came a greater capacity, including specialty doctors and pediatrics. Cheshire Hospital School of Nursing students also assisted in nursing care, which gave them valuable clinical experience. This is a tradition that continues today through clinical rotations for students at Keene State College, Vermont Technical College, and River Valley Community College. This period also saw significant advancement in medical treatment and technology, and the demand for specialized pediatric care grew. Described as a children's nursing home, Cedarcrest expanded staff to include more nurses, licensed therapy staff, and direct caregivers to the existing program staff, facility, and housekeeping staff. The organization's executive and volunteer leadership recognized the evolving needs of the children and adapted yet again, making significant facility upgrades. The trustees recognized the physical limitations of the 3-floor, 200-year-old farmhouse and the mounting pressures of licensing, technological, and safety regulations. The 1980s brought changes at the state and federal level regarding residential care programs for people with developmental differences, including intermediate care facilities, ICF, like Cedarcrest. The increased level of complexity of the children, a changing regulatory environment, and strategic planning efforts honed the focus of the organization. It was decided that the children could be better served in a more cost-effective manner in a new facility, preferably one that was closer to Cheshire Hospital. A new nonprofit entity, the Cedarcrest Foundation, was incorporated with the explicit purpose of raising funds and managing assets to help support the operations of its sister organization, Cedarcrest Center for Children with Disabilities. With the proceeds from a successful community fund drive, the Cedarcrest trustees authorized the purchase of 5 acres on Maple Avenue in Keene. Plans were drawn up for a 19,000-square-foot modern facility that would encompass the residential, educational, therapy, and recreational needs for up to 26 children under one roof. The fundraising efforts led by Chairman Dr. Richard Snowman and a veritable army of supporters raised over $1.4 million towards the new home of Cedarcrest. With the help of hundreds of volunteers, the residents made the move down off of the hill in Westmoreland and into the West Keene neighborhood across what was then known as Peerless Insurance. Peerless staff became tremendous supporters, and employees of its successor, Liberty Mutual, continue to volunteer. In 1995, after guiding the organization through decades of major programmatic, clinical, operational, and physical transformation, Sharon Kaiser stepped down as administrator. The trustees selected a physical therapist by training and administrator of a Vermont-based residential program, Kathy Gray, as its new executive director. In 1999, Cedarcrest extended its education services to include day students from local communities. The school program continued to integrate special education services with the therapy and nursing support. The early 2000s brought about new strategic efforts through a future search collaboration with stakeholders statewide. This process yielded great insight into the unmet needs of children with complex medical conditions. In 2007, trustees voted to merge the two nonprofit sister entities into Cedarcrest Incorporated, improving the efficiency of governance and fiscal stewardship. As the needs of children in the community changed, so too did the programming, equipment, and staff. This was evident in an increased focus on specialized equipment, such as custom-molded wheelchairs, standards, and positioning aids, a greater emphasis on adaptive communication and technology, and the increasing presence and participation on staff of physical, occupational, speech-language, and respiratory therapists. A building expansion was undertaken in 2001 to create 3 distinct classrooms with dedicated areas for curriculum, therapy, and specialized equipment storage. Old spaces were repurposed for use as a therapy gym and as a multi-purpose room. Community support continued to enhance the programs as well as the facility. Medical technology enhancements included oxygen piped into each of the bedrooms, bathing areas, bathrooms, and classrooms, ceiling lifts in all bedrooms and many common areas, an advanced nurse call system, specialized transportation vehicles, and an adapted playground and a sensory room. After having cared for hundreds of children and guiding the careers of many young healthcare professionals over 40-plus years, Peg Knox retired. Throughout her tenure, the complex needs of children evolved immensely. In the coming years, Cedarcrest would add specialized respiratory therapists and begin providing care to a greater number of children with tracheostomies and ventilators. Technology such as electronic medical records and telemedicine make care management more efficient. Staff members were engaged at all levels and in all departments to identify and help implement new treatments, programs, projects, and recreation opportunities. The playground, dedicated in 1996 to Dr. McMurphy, was enhanced and expanded in 2015 through the generosity of C&S Wholesale Grocers and Kaboom, and built with the help of hundreds of community volunteers. Kathy Gray intensified the level of advocacy, seeking greater, more adequate levels of Medicaid funding to keep pace with the broadening scope of the children's medical needs. Capitalizing on its years of experience developing healthcare professionals, Kathy joined together with other care providers to improve healthcare recruitment and retention efforts in the Monadnock region, increase opportunities for local healthcare education, and reduce barriers to licensure. Requests for Cedarcrest's unique and specialized care have grown. Cedarcrest provides care for children and young adults from infancy to 21 years and from communities throughout New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont. Program advancements such as respite care, family training and support, and ventilator weaning are examples of the persistence of the organization in fulfilling Dot and Clemmy's legacy of ingenuity, resourcefulness, and innovation. In 2021, after 26 years as the administrative leader, Kathy Gray retired, and Dr. Jay Haston was appointed as just the 4th president and CEO in the organization's 75-year history. Jay now looks to steward Cedarcrest into the future of health and human services, building on this rich history of highly specialized care and education. Today, with volunteer and staff leadership committed to a vibrant role in the continuum of care for children and young adults, Cedarcrest continues to provide exceptional nursing, education, and therapy programs in a dynamic home-like environment and specialized school. Together with its legion of dedicated supporters, Cedarcrest will ensure that the mission established so many years ago by 2 extraordinary women continues to have a profound impact on children, young adults, and families for decades to come.